Good evening. Welcome to the Azeroth review. I'm just a little bit confused actually because something has changed. YouTube have done a thing. It doesn't look like it normally does. I'll just hope it's all correct. So this is where we basically talk about whatever anyone would like to discuss about Warcraft. In the background is a very provocative image as usual. I don't know what people think about this one. I couldn't actually understand what all the fuss was about, quite frankly. The only objection I have to it is that anchor is a hell of a size on the pendant. That would do some clanking about if that was around her neck, I imagine. But I really don't know what the issue was apart from that. And where was I? Oh dear, what? Ah, it says not connected to any YouTube live chat. Oh no. Right, hang on a minute. I'll have to read it off here, sorry. Would I like to see a WoW 40k crossover where the new enemy is basically a Lightforged version of Emperor? Hi, Oggy. Well, no. I'm not a fan of 40k. I'm not a fan, you know, I have in the past begrudgingly learned how to play and played the odd game of 40k because it's what everyone sort of seems to want to do. For some reason, my chat isn't working. It is working. I can see what you're saying. People watching this back live will not be able to. And at the moment, the thing is not behaving itself. So I may just have to read what people are saying out for now while I hunt around in settings. But I don't know. Well, so let's have a look. So you think her face is awful. What's wrong with her face? I'm not sure. Tell me what's wrong with her face. What do you mean gnomes are in charge? Oh, well, in terms of the April Fool's things, I mean, Blizzard did actually do one I approved of. Where was it? It's a Paladin one. Always a Paladin one. Inquisition is now baseline and activates randomly without warning. No one expects Inquisition. I did like that one. Someone was trying to troll me about gnomes earlier in the week as well. I really don't know what it was about. Right, I'm going to try and see if I can make this behave. Oh my god, you're joking me. Oh crap. What the hell's going on? Right, well, let's first of all see if we can connect. It's not connecting to anything. I wonder if the plugin just doesn't work anymore. Do you know what? We're going to have to do it. I'm just going to have to... This is annoying. They never... Why didn't they warn me that something was changing? Really? But anyway, so I'm just going to have to look this way, sorry, while I actually read comments. Actually, there is a... I can do something about that in a minute. An Asian ladyboy. No, she's just narrowing her eyes because she's all serious. It's all fine. £350. Well, you know, I mean, whether it's worth the cost, essentially it's ornamental. So, you know, there's people who spend millions on something ornamental. Wow, focus. I've never had a problem with focus on this webcam, or is there just something on the lens? It just looks like I'm... Oh, that's better. I mean... I'm not into ornaments myself. I'm not, you know, sometimes I'll get a limited edition box set of something. I don't actually know if there's one of the ESO expansion that's coming out in June. There has been actually, certainly for the last, so I'm, you know, if there was one, you know, I may get it and I might get the ornament thing that comes with it, but I don't actively go out and hunt them. So that sort of thing doesn't worry me. You know, and the price is, I suppose, it's just up to people, isn't it? Is it worth it for them? Do they want the statue? If they want the statue, then you know, someone photoshopped her face and made it look much better. I mean, I don't know what the issue is. It's unmistakably Jaina. She's looking all serious. She can't look the same as she does in the game because the proportions in the game are ridiculous. It would look comical. I mean, this is a problem with World of Warcraft, as I say. I mean, it's one thing I really don't like about it. which is the art design. I understood it when it was for like Warcraft. It made sense. I don't think it makes sense in an MMO. And I know they made the decision because they wanted it to be instantly recognisable. They worried that World of Warcraft wouldn't be popular, and they wanted to at least make sure that there was that recognisable element for the Warcraft 3 players. WoW still doesn't have a Necro class 14 years on. Yeah, well, it's coming in ESO. It looks a bit tricky. I mean, it sounds quite cool. The problem with the Necromancer, as I've seen it in ESO, is for the healing purposes. You know, you're like drawing life force out of corpses and putting it into your friends. That sounds fantastic. But the problem with that is it's then dependent upon there being corpses. I mean, it's not like you can't heal at all without corpses, but you do better healing with corpses. And the more corpses there are, the better. So that creates an unreliability to me. It's like, it's one of those things I don't really like in games, which sounds cool from a role-playing point of view, but you just worry, is it practical? Happy Tuesday, Barry. It does. I've only looked at it from the healing point of view so far, and I don't know why, because I don't do any. The problem with like my main character on Elder Scrolls Online, which this Easter I'm going to be playing more again, and I'll even stream a few times, is what was I saying? Oh yeah, the healing. So the character I've got, my main character, I had a senior moment then. My brain just emptied. Is really a healer, but obviously when I'm going out solo and I don't heal things to death, I kill them. So the only way to practice healing is by being in a group and doing group stuff. But I now have been out of it for so long, I fear going into a group and being useless. So really, I just occasionally go into PvP, but then I can't get into groups in PvP. So I just stand behind other groups and try and heal them and just practice. But I don't know. You know, you don't get as much information in ESO. And I imagine, yes, there's add-ons and stuff like that, but then I'd have to get those and learn how to use those. But, you know, at some point, if I get time, I may do that. Obviously, some of you will know I've been spending rather a lot of my time on the other channel, which at the moment seems to be going all right. What do I think the next expansion will be? Revenge of the Potato People, I keep telling you. But, you know, I think the undead are going to be a major feature of the next expansion, put it that way. I think it's going to be an undead expansion because we've got two story arcs that seem to be moving. We've got the concept of the Forsaken dividing. Now, whether that means along faction lines or whether it's just some change in the leadership, you know, with Sylvanas and all that lot, maybe stepping back as leader of the Forsaken. You know, you've got because the strand that came through from the Before the Storm novel with Kalia and stuff like that. And then the other one that I always mix them up with, Talia, daughter of Fordragon. So there's the Lich King element coming through as well again. So I can see an undead expansion. You know, undead potato people, perhaps. Still salty how some people in ISO kill stuff 5 times faster when there's no item level difference in the gear. I don't know. All I know is I won't be doing half the damage I should be doing because I'm playing it as a complete scrub. And I intend to carry on because I refuse to do animation cancelling or learn how to do it properly. Sorcerer healing. The flying pet has a morph that does smart, crazy healing. Well, you know, the Warden has a Healy type pet as well. I quite like the Warden. The Sorcerer, I mean, I keep making a Sorcerer and then playing it for a bit. I mean, playing it as a Sorcerer, like as a caster DPS, is quite spectacular. Does ridiculous amounts of damage. You wanted Warlords to have a spec where you drain life, spread healing a little bit like Disc. Well, I thought, you know, I mean, when I first saw footage, not real footage, but, you know, mocked up footage of the Death Knight, when the Death Knight was first announced, but without me having to, you know, before I was in the beta and playing it, it looked very much to me like the Death Knight could have had a healer option because it was supposed to be like a corruption of the Paladin, wasn't it? You know, the Lich King's Death Knights were supposed to be fallen Paladins that had been raised from the dead. And I thought a tank, a DPS and a healer. And I thought that would be it. You know, I thought that that would be like a Necromancer. But no, it was just, no, they didn't do that. I even thought I saw a ranged possibility of a range spec for DKs as well. You know, throwing things out of distance, throwing out death and decays in the distance and pulling all these purple tendrily things that I saw on the footage. But no, nothing like that. Doing the new dailies in ESO at the moment, World Quests. I don't do anything like that. The only dailies I do... See, the thing is, and it's so stupid, I don't even go on every day. I need to start doing that again. Because ESO actually have quite a good system for getting you to log on each day, even though I say that having just said that I don't do it. In that you log on and you get a little thing. And then you log on the next day, you get another little thing. And the better stuff is at the end of the month. But at the end of the month, it resets. So you want to log on each day to get the good stuff. And you get like experience scrolls and gold and all sorts of things. It's absolutely brilliant. My face is looking much thinner. It is actually. I hadn't noticed at all. People keep saying it. I thought, bollocks. But then when I redid a photo and I compared it, I thought, yeah, actually it is. I mean, yeah, I mean, the bottom line is, in the, when is it? 3.5 months, and I have lost quite a lot. About 6.5 stone. I don't feel it. Well, I know it, because the belt that I got that was in January too big for me, too small for me. I deliberately got one that was too small to get into it once my previous belt was then too big, is now only 2 holes away from the last hole itself. So in another month's time, I might need another belt. That's actually the annoying part of it, having to get new belts. Or new clothes in general. My pants are now like clown pants. I need to get some more. But anyway, this month's big login bonus is a chicken pet. Yeah, I'm not bothered about the pets. You can be a vampire necromancer. You can. I don't know. I'm not so keen. I don't know about the vampire. It sounds quite cool. I like the idea of making some sort of vampire. But I don't know. You need some motivation to keep on PC for ESO. All your money and time on Xbox. Keep calling. Oh, yeah, Xbox though. I've never been a fan of console games, really. I say that. Well, yeah, I mean, even like the very early consoles, I had a friend who had an Atari console. And, you know, I'd go around and we'd sort of play the odd game. But I always preferred the games on my Acorn Electron. It's just the controller. It's just too limited. Because on the Acorn Electron, I used to use keys. Before, I mean, I got a joystick. When I got my Atari ST, then some games, keyboard and mouse, some joystick. I've never been a fan of the joystick. Always liked the keys. Preferably the keys and mouse. So, hi Dave. Blood mages are better. Yeah, but blood mages is well. Because that's the other thing. If they ever were to introduce a necromancer into the game, warlocks would throw a fit, wouldn't they? They were already not very happy because they've twice had stuff nicked off them, haven't they? They had Death Knights nicked stuff off them. And then Demon Hunters nick stuff off them. Can you imagine what Warlocks are going to say if Blizzard say, oh, Warlocks, by the way, we need to skim a little bit more off you because we're going to bring out Necromancers. But at least Necromancers wouldn't have any melee specs, so that would be appropriate at least. You had a Spectrum. Now, technically our first computer was a Spectrum. Unfortunately, we destroyed it. So then it was the Acorn Electron. Then we didn't have a BBC. And then it was just the Atari ST for me. And then a different type of Atari ST, the STE Enhanced. And then PC. What was my first PC? It wasn't a Pentium. It was at the Pentium, sorry. It was at the time when the Pentium was just coming out. Mine was I think mine was a transition. It was above 486. It was like AMX or something. It wasn't a Pentium, but it was above a 486. I haven't pre-purchased the ESO expansion, no, because that's what I was just saying. I was just thinking about it. I mean, I don't have to just yet. And I was wondering if I get the physical copy of it. Let's have a look. Hold on. Because let's face it, I'm not, even though I like Elder Scrolls Online, what's it called? Elsewhere, isn't it? Elsewhere. Is there a physical collector's edition? That's the thing. A Necromancer in WoW would be melee only, for reasons. Also leather. No, not leather. Mail. Could you? Yeah, that's what they should do. They should bring out a Necromancer, and they should make it a mail wearer. And if everyone queries that, Blizzard should just say, just because. You all know the reasons why. We should have done it with Demon Hunters. We bottled it. Necromancers wearing mail. Chains, all very necromancy. All lots of chains. That'll totally work. Totally. Right, hang on. I'm going to have to look it up on Amazon, aren't I? It's the place you go whenever you want to find anything. No, we can't show that. Let's have a look. Oh my god. Right, let's have a look. So, PS4, that doesn't look like a big collector's edition. That's an online game code. No good. No good. I don't think there is one. Oh, there is one. Is there? Maybe there isn't one. And maybe I'll have to get the digital one. The RAM, yes. You know, it's... See, what did we get? I mean, I think my Spectrum was only like 16K. And then it was 32K for the Acorn Electron. It was a whole meg of RAM for the Atari ST. And then I got one with 2 meg of RAM. Wow. I'm going to move this screen across because at the moment I'm not doing anything on the other one and I'm just keep moving my head, which is rude. And now I cannot remember how much RAM my first PC had, though. I have no idea. Don't think there is. No, I can't see a physical collector's edition, I have to confess. So I may just get the digital one. But if I'm going to get the digital one, do you know what? Don't need to get it now, do I? I'm not going to fall into the same trap that Blizzard keep dropping me in, where I get the digital one 8 months early, and then this is shit. Not that I minded it in WoW's case. I knew I would still be playing it. Except I'm not still playing it. But I played it for a bit, so I had to get it anyway. In fact, actually, the irony is that my hopes of ever being able to do lots of gaming again probably rest in potential success of the political channel I'm doing. The irony is that actually might lead to it, but, you know, long way to go yet. Leather and melee with 1 tank. I wouldn't mind a Necromancer tank. You subbed for a year for the ship, thinking. You only need to do it for 6 months. Thinking you'd be playing it anyway and not played it much. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I haven't. I've pretty much come to the conclusion that I'm not playing it. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. I'm not actually playing it. I'm talking about it. I keep my eye on it. I keep watching things on it. Not playing it. Not interested. You'll be making a Necromancer tank. See, I'm not sure I'll be making one. Or rather... I don't know. Because I'm not sure about it. Because, first of all, I'm not like someone who naturally gravitates towards that sort of character anyway, like a Necromancer trope. So, is it even... Is it something that I would actually take? The other thing as well, with the... Because what keeps happening with ESO is... I haven't played through a single expansion yet. Because I played through a bit... and then I just go back onto my main character and playing through all the old stuff. I got so much I haven't done yet. Tanking in ESO is so much different. Oh, do you know what I have noticed, of course? Nixium has started playing Elder Scrolls Online a lot. He's been doing quite a few videos on it, hasn't he? I don't think he's playing WoW anymore. I think it was only started a few months ago. He's got right into it, hasn't he? The Elder Scrolls Online statue, High Elf, 16-inch tall, 280 plus shipping, 1,000 made. So Jaina Price, yeah, I mean... See, again, it's not my thing. If I were, like, wealthy and I had a nice big house and a trophy room, sure, I would get them. You know, but as it is, I am already very messy. My housekeeping is virtually non-existent. The idea of putting more dust collectors on the way, you know, around the house is anathema to me. You think he's just camping out for classic? He may be, but he's got properly into it. He seems to have got into it all. Who knows? Maybe he'll do a bit of both. But yes, he certainly is not a fan of BFA, is he? I think that's fair to say. Just get the self-moving hover thing, Hoover. If only it was as simple as that. See, to be honest, do you know what? I almost solved the vacuuming problem. Because I kept getting vacuumed, I kept thinking, the problem is that they're awkward to cart around and you've got the extension cable, you have to keep moving it from room to room. And I just get sick of it and think, sod it, I've done enough for today when I've actually done 2 square meters. So then what I did is I got a cordless Dyson Beast, I think it's called. Can't remember, but it's cordless. Works fine, works great. Turns out I don't like vacuuming. And the cord, it is better. I do more than I used to. But it's literally this simple. I could, and I will, you know, I'm off for Easter. During the holidays, I actually do some housework because I haven't really got any excuses. But when, you know, it's like I'm at work, come home from work, do a video for the other channel, get something to eat, and then on Tuesday, of course, doing this. And, you know, and I think to myself, if I've got a bit of time, I could do some vacuuming, or the dust is still going to be there tomorrow. I could just do something else. And so I am stunningly bad at housework. I am not well suited to looking after myself. It's very right about the bad parts of ESO dungeons. The fact that you can build any character you want means you will build silly ones that don't do damage. Well, yes, but I would argue the issue there is that the game doesn't give you the information to tell. You know. This is my issue, and I know in WoW we get this information from an add-on, third-party software, but my issue in a lot of other games, Star Wars: The Old Republic's the worst for it, is but Lord of the Rings Online as well is another one, they actively hamper you from being able to get feedback on how well you're doing and refine your technique and all the rest of it. Now, obviously it's possible to do because people do it, but it's a lot more involved, therefore, learning how to play better. Do you know what? I've got a bloody tiny little splinter in my thumb. I was trying to get it out with tweezers earlier and failing. How much money have I spent on stuff I'll never use? Oh dear, I'm not going to do an audit of that. It would be horrendous. Chat isn't on the screen. No, it's not. It's not intentional. Basically, I went live. The YouTube screen, which is now here, looks completely different. YouTube did not bother to warn me they're changing things, right? I thought it was Twitch that were just really bad for that. And then the chat viewer wasn't working. So I tried to right click, thinking some settings had changed. That's not working. The whole chat widget is not working. So what I now need to do is to find another one. But I can't remember how to do that. I'll have to play in buttons. And yes, sorry, I'm going to have to read out the chat or give you the gist of it. And I'll try and sort it out for next week. So, oh, I've got something on Warcraft. Has and Zoth been absorbing all the power of the old gods we've just been knocking off? I don't know. I don't even know if that would be a thing. What my suspicion is, well, I say a suspicion, it's not really much of a suspicion, is it? It's got to be surely pretty obvious. Is that it's his plan that we acquire all this artifact power, or you acquire all this artifact power. I'm not acquiring any. So that he has all this artifact power in one vessel, you, and then he intends to use our character to empower himself, or some event or something like that. So I reckon we're going to be the ones who free him from his prison. So because YouTube things bear, yeah. I mean, see, Twitch always used to annoy me by not telling me things. I remember when I was, when I used to stream on Twitch, it took me completely by surprise when someone subscribed to me, because I thought to myself, well, they never told me that you could subscribe to me. It's like, don't bother telling. I mean, you had to, you were invited to apply for that, and I did, but no, there was no message about, oh, it's now up, and you can do these things. Like, what the hell just happened there? So they're really, really bad at communicating. YouTube do sometimes communicate things, but on this particular occasion, no. So, yeah, but I can't actually, I don't remember how I even find the widgets, because, oh, find more sources, YouTube widgets, find more sources, plugin store, this may be it. Let's have a look. YouTube, oh, there's 2 YouTube live chat viewers. Go on then, let's have a little go. Install. I didn't see the date on that. I suspect it's exactly the same one. Oh no, it's updated. So let's have a look. Go on then, let's have a little crack at this. Right. I've got to try and connect widget settings. Mythic plus dungeons in WoW for life now. Do you think world quests will eventually morph into another daily world content system? I think they have to. I do think they have to, because it's such a... Oh, crap. I've got to remember passwords now. I hate remembering passwords. I don't see them. I mean, only Blizzard will know how effective they are. Oh, bugger. Sorry, I've just got to... Yes, I did try to sign in. Which number do I see on the other screen? Oh, this is better than passwords. I can use my phone for it. Even better. Even better. But I can't believe, unless Blizzard say absolutely world quests actually engage a lot of their players, I can't believe that they engage a lot of their players. In the early days of an expansion, sure, when you've sort of got to do it. But, do I play WoW on my lunch break? How am I supposed to play WoW on my lunch break? Oh, crap. Right. Now, what I need to be able to do, I can't change the ratio of this bloody thing. Right, okay, so we have something there. I need to be able to change settings now. This is where it gets complicated. Because I don't actually know what I'm doing. Not blocking anyone. Colour, layout, effects. I just want to change the bloody font text size. Okay, let's start with this. Let's actually just make the text a bit bigger. How big does it need to be? Is that all right? Or does it need to be bigger? Is that all right? The lack of flying makes you not want to do that. Yeah, I mean, it's coming, except will it be coming for the new zones? That is the problem there. They engage a lot of players. The players just don't enjoy them. Well, I don't know that it does, because after a certain point, surely does people even bother with them anymore, unless it gives artifact power, maybe? I mean, there comes a point where surely you just think, you're just looking at it for the rewards, and once those rewards are no longer useful, you think... Whereas the Elder Scrolls Online... And remember, all world quests are for... sole purpose of all this rubbish about getting people out into the world, you don't see any sod anywhere. Well, okay, there's a few. Hiya, Jimmy. The sole purpose of them is to keep us logging in every day. ESO's version's better for doing that. I mean, if they had every day you log in, you get a thing and it increases in value throughout the month. And then if you've done it every day for the month and the last month gives you like something reasonable, like a pet or something, whatever. And that would encourage you to do that. And they could give out experience scrolls that actually allow you to boost your experience by quite a bit. And then you wouldn't have to ban people for fiddling a bug. Clearly not be able to fly in the new zones. Yeah, that is exactly. Do you know what? It's exactly what they did last expansion. And I think it's deliberate. I think it's deliberate because the way I look at it is Warlords of Draenor, they didn't want flying. All right. So then they reluctantly agreed when everyone, you know, threw a wobbly. So then they said, all right, we'll bring it in. And then it took ages. Fair enough. That was fine. Then in Legion, you know, they planned in advance to do this. So they brought it in to, you know, halfway through. And then at the same time as they brought flying in, or pretty much the same time, they then created 3 new zones, which you couldn't fly in. So it's like, yeah, you can now fly around the dead zones that have no longer any use to you, but you're not flying around the new zones. And they're doing it again. You cannot tell me it's not deliberate. It's got to be deliberate. This is them out of sheer petulance stuffing people over. Right, I actually want to make this window a bit narrower. Layout, is it in there? Oh, what have we got? Oh. Hang on, hang on. Oh my god. Right, hold on. Is that better? How does that look? I might just increase the text a little bit more. That may be better. Obviously, people watching this back after it's gone live will have to put some comments on about something. Cover Jane's face. She's not ugly. She's determined. That is her Clint Eastwood look. She's about to call someone punk. You were sick of World Quest and Emissary Quest in Legion. I was. The worst expansion for me for him was Mop. You know, I loved Mop, but I just refused it. I actually did accidentally blindfold her on the thumbnail for this stream before it went live, because the Azeroth review was straight over her eyes. Just staying. Hang on a minute, let me just move that down there while I'm at it. She's not aged, she's just narrowing her eyes because she's determined. I don't know. Right, anyway, I want to let's have a little look at something. Mortal Kombat, Jaina. Well, there we go then. When this stops messing about. There, mini Jaina. Right, anyway. Was it the same person who okayed that this actually did the quality assurance for BFA? I strongly suspect not. But anyway, people will buy if they want to buy it. It's not even anything that enhances the game as such. So I guess that means I can do that with that, and I can move that screen back over there, and then it's much more like the normal setup then. Well, all right. I have no issue with the face, I have to say. We'll just have to leave it at that. Everyone else seems to hate the face. The only thing I dislike about it, as I say, is the giant anchor, because if she put that on, it would not look as... I mean, the game does not usually make things look dainty, it has to be said. You've got huge sausage hands you know. They have massive shoulders. The proportions of WoW characters are significantly off. But that anchor is, if it be possible, way less dainty than the one in the game. Am I interested in the Elder Scrolls Blades mobile game? Yeah, I think we know the answer to that one. Because although, yes, I do have a mobile, here's where it goes. For me, PC games are close to, in terms of electronic games, should we say, are at the top of the pile. Then you've got console games. Then you've got mobile games. Or tablet games. And if they introduced another version, I would put that in there somewhere above mobile games. So, no matter... And I'm not bored at the moment. I've got loads to do. But even if I did get bored, I would not turn... I don't even... The only time... Do you know, I once bought myself, as an adult, a games console. I got a PlayStation 2. Specifically for playing Tekken 4 on. Is it Tekken 4? No, that doesn't sound right. I can't remember. It was one of the Tekken anyway. And the only reason I did that, and I got it purely to play Tekken, was I a massive fan of Tekken? Not really. The thing is, at the time, I would occasionally, you know, you sort of have little parties at people's houses, get pissed, end up playing Tekken. And when I was drunk, I was actually... Well, I used to think I was quite good at Tekken. Probably the reality is I just played it better than other drunk people. So I thought I should play this. I'll get some Tekken on the go. And then when I was playing it sober, I realised I don't like console games. What was I doing? But if Blades is available on PC as well, is it really just a mobile game that they've made available for the PC? In which case, it's not really a very good PC game. Or, I don't know. Do I think Kulturans are more closely related to Vrykul? Or, well, do you mean what, more closely related than what? I mean, humans are descended from Vrykul. Technically, you would think that the Kulturans are... that where Kulturash used to be wasn't miles away from Lordaeron, and the Vrykuls developed there because, you know, Tyr's hand influence. So there'd be that, but Lordaeronians would be closer, I guess. What do you call people from Lordaeron? I don't actually know what you call people from Lordaeron. Your Kulturan is 117 now. Did it start at 20? Gordon Bennett. You're really struggling with BFA levelling. Ah. Do I believe the future level squish will become 60? Well, to be honest, I am just encouraged by the fact that they're now seriously talking about a level squish. Whereas, I mean, that's a massive turnaround from a year ago. It was basically like, you're joking, aren't you? So that's encouraging. I think it should be 60, and I think there should be a Paragon levelling system that is account-wide that goes with it. Lorderize. Is it? Is that actually official, or is that just a guess? But, well, we call many people from Lordaeron the Scourge now. Yes, that is true. Or Forsaken, more realistically. I'm pretty sure most of the actual Scourge that used to be from Lordaeron are properly dead. They're called Lordaeronians. Gordon Bennett. That's they didn't think that one through properly, did they? Light scaling, they can't just squish and or half the levelling time and leave it as job done. No, I would agree with that. They need a fundamental... Well, they say they're having a fundamental rethink of the levelling process. I hope they don't just mean, oh yeah, that's going to be a level squish. Yes, I think it needs... I mean, the problem is, like I've said it before and I've said it again, the fact that in each expansion, I think a game should, certainly from the second expansion, once you know the game is really popular and it's going to go on for years to come, they should have put a small team in charge of integrating new players, thinking about, right, with each new expansion, how are we helping new players integrate into the game? The fact that they didn't have anyone, like even like a think tank, so to speak, doing that, to me seems ridiculous. What do I call people from San Marino? I don't know. San Marinians. I guess so, maybe. As long I know what we call people where I come from. That's all I need to know, I suppose. What was I looking for? People should gain unique traits for completing campaigns to show the journey has had a personal effect on your character. When you say unique traits, unique to what? Do you mean classes or races? You don't think they're a squish? There are too many who don't want it. Are there? Are there too many who don't want it? What are the arguments for not having it? Because I've not really seen any. Admittedly, I've not been looking for any. I'm not saying there aren't any. But what are the actual arguments? I think I said this in the previous one, but a level squish would cause just as many problems as stat squishes, if not more. That's what Blizzard said as their objection to it. But they now seem to be changing their tune. So they're now obviously of the view that it may not be as bad as they feared. Well, Congo now is not Congo, is it? It's the Democratic People's Republic of Congo. So they can be dorps. You just have to rearrange the letters a little bit. Or is it just Democratic Republic of Congo now? I think it's just Democratic Republic of Congo. In which case they could be dorks. Just put an O in there. The world is so big now, 60 levels would miss so many zones. People miss loads of zones anyway. And it makes no... The narrative doesn't make any sense anyway. It doesn't matter. That's fine. In fact, it's a good thing. Because you know what's good about having loads of zones? Every time you level a new character, you can have a totally different leveling experience. You don't get through 1/10 of the zones in ESO when you level it. Actually, that's a lie. There's a hell of a lot of zones you don't touch while you're leveling in ESO. And it just means you can do things in so many different combinations with the new character. Way better. Loads better. Lots of YouTubers are against it. Well, I don't watch like stuff on WoW anymore. Go on, what are they saying? You've asked people, you often get reaction like, they're taking away levels we earned. Earn, is that really the right word? Is that the word they used? Earned? They earned those levels. That's the thing, is it? Okay. Alright then. To be fair though, that is an issue that Blizzard suggested people might have as an objection. How do you feel about suddenly losing a load of levels? Like, do you really feel a level has been earned when you get nothing for it for your character? When it's just another one chalked off? Let's not be mean to people from the Congo. A lot of people asking for a squish without qualifying why or how it would actually help in itself. Take my levels is almost literally their entire argument. You want to level 1 to 20 in Northrend, 20 to 40 in Burning Crusade. There's nothing, yeah. My preference, and I accept that there are a lot of people who don't want this, so, you know, I understand Blizzard not doing it. My preference would just be, if you can physically walk there, then you're okay with it. You know, let them go wherever they want. Obviously, if they want to go through the Dark Portal into, like, the Red Dark Portal, then they're going to have to do all the Warlords of Draenor stuff and set up their garrison as like a level 5. Okay. That's fine. That's okay. You know, I would just squish the hell out of everything. Can I make an ESO level endgame guide? No, because I don't know enough. I could do a thing that beginners might want to watch out for guide, because that's all I know how to be a beginner. Let's give you player housing. Yes, I would like player housing. If there were player housing in WoW, you know, I'm not saying I'd be playing it all the time, but I would certainly keep popping back. If you logged in and you were 60 instead of 120, you would quit instantly. So 10 people in the world. I mean, I don't know. It's just... But the leveling is so awful. It's not that... It's rather it's too much for what it is. It can't engage you for long enough. It's not even like you're really learning about the game's lore or systems after a while. Thousand Needles, I don't think I was ever a fan of Thousand Needles. I mean, I remember having to go through there as an Alliance player at around about level 20 something to get to the Wyvern eggs, because I had a quest for some crazy elf in Stormwind. I was in Stormwind. This mad elf out near the alchemist just said to me, "Can you go and get me some Wyvern eggs?" And I went, "Yeah, sure." And I without a mount, hot-footed it all the way. Well, how did I have to get there now? So, Jesus. I had to go through the Deep Run tram to get to Ironforge, round there through Lochmadan to get to Wetlands, through the tunnely thing in Wetlands. Can't even remember how to get to places now. No, I didn't. That can't be right. No, not the tunnely thing in Wetlands. Menethil Harbour. Boat 2. Where did the boat take you? Dustswallow Marsh? Dustswallow Marsh. As sub-level 30, all the way through Dustswallow Marsh with the giant spiders near the road, with a skull where their level should be, because they're more than 10 levels higher than me. Through the Barrens. Tromping down the Barrens. Get close to Thousand Needles. There's the Tauren list, but there's also Tauren on them. So you have to run past them, get yourself PvP flagged, even though they attacked me. I didn't touch them. Go down the lift. Or did I just... I probably just bubbled off. I can't remember if I had bubble then. If I had bubble then, I probably just bubbled off the edge of it. And then work my way along to where the Wyverns were, which was somewhere along the northern edge, I believe. For one quest. For one quest, I did all that. But that was nice. You got to do some exploring. It was not an efficient way to level. The way I leveled was not an efficient way to level. Doing a switch to make it... So 150 is all the previous expansions, and the less 10 is the current. Every new expansion they could fold the last... It'd sound messy to me, though, that's the problem. I would just rather they went... See, the thing is, I don't think we need to level through the new zones, because... you have to unlock the storylines to access the end game. I would just leave it at that. You know, the encouragement for doing the questing in the new expansion is you need to do it to unlock the end game content. Job done. You don't need to attach levels to them. You'd like to see the talent system worked on as well. I think there's quite a few systems. Once it's been in for a few years, you probably want to have a think about updating them. Maybe keep the raise for big spec abilities and make a small spec tree for passive skills. You're doing what and loving it? What are you doing? Hang on, have I missed something? Oh, okay, yeah. Going through zones we had no business being. Well, yeah, we got to have a look around the place. By the time I was level 30, I must have been in a dozen different and actively quested in a dozen different zones. I'm not counting the zones where I was just passing through either. Sorry, that's splinters, annoying. Yes, people are happy and excited for new ESO expansions despite the lack of promise of new levels. Because what you need of an expansion is new content. There's still going to be the opportunity to, you know, develop your characters. That's always still there. Blizzard's fault. How can it not have alarmed them early with so high level? They basically just decided that it wasn't an issue. They consciously made that, because you could tell at some point they thought it was an issue. Because notice, after Wrath, the next 2 expansions, you only got 5 levels for the expansion, didn't you? It was like they were putting the brakes on it. And then they just went, ah, sod it. And they went back to 10 levels again. They used to look at other games, take good ideas from them. Well, I mean, what I would say Blizzard, they used to do even better than that. They used to look at good ideas in other games and make them better and then put them in WoW. That's what they used to be really good at. And yes, now they refuse to do that. It's almost, I don't know whether they feel that it's not original or something. Well, it's not technically, but, you know, you're supposed to make the game good. It doesn't matter whether you came up with some inspiration for it or not. And yes, to go 10 levels with nothing in rewards is bad. And when you consider that the 10 levels you go through in BFA, that's the very last 10 levels, the one that take you the longest, you go 10 levels without getting anything. In fact, if you add a Legion character, you go 10 levels and lose things, of course, because you lose your legendaries and you lose everything. They're increasing the max points you can apply in your champion. Yeah, I mean, the champion level has to keep going up, I suppose. I mean, I'm only on like 200 and something at the moment because I keep not playing it for ages. Yeah, so the feature of being able to put down and pick up and continue exactly where you left off. It's not the best game for that. You can, yes, because of the scaling. Although they have changed, I think they've changed the map UI now, so you can sort of see. Because what it's not great at is you've been able to go in your quest log and go, right, where am I going now? Stuff like that. It's not bad, but it's not the best. Can I see Ian remain as game director for the next expansion? Yeah. The thing is, the powers that be don't necessarily see World of Warcraft as being a failure. Is maybe a strong word, but the failure that we do, as long as it's making a good amount of money. And they may also have already accepted the fact that it's going to lose subscribers. It's clearly on a decline. It's been on a decline for some time. The purpose is just to slow that decline down to them, obviously. They need to finally add dynamic and scaling quest events outdoors. That would be nice if it could be engaging. Oh, they're keeping the count the same here, so are they? Okay. It is very, very high compared with what I am though at the moment. I'm a long way off it. Yes, I did notice a change on it because I logged on a couple of days ago. So, in fact, I logged on yesterday, I think, actually. So, yeah, I do want to sort of have a little, you know, maybe at least try and get something useful done on it and then get myself ready for the expansion in June. They've put a stop on the champion points so they can rework the system. Okay, fair enough. Rework it again, that'll be the third iteration. Yeah, but isn't it a good thing that developers, when a system looks like it's going to be unwieldy in the long term, occasionally pause and just rethink it and try and make it future-proof before it gets past the point at which it's already got problems? Now, if you think about it, I can think of things that I would like Blizzard to have done to have made the leveling system better each expansion to accommodate all those dead expansions. But I can't realistically think what I would want Blizzard to do because there's too much work. They left it too long. And I will be impressed if they do anything that fixes the leveling system. Because I can't think of anything that they can do without a massive amount of investment. ZeniMax definitely did something that Blizzard would never do. Oh, they gave everyone 3 race change tokens. Yeah. I thought you meant just in terms of redesigning the game. I mean, you've got to remember. Well, you say you've got to remember. You might not remember. But when ESO, like, I was so excited for ESO. I have never been as excited for a computer game as ESO. I mean that. because I was playing, but I wasn't in the proper beta. I was in like the weekend betas every now and then, and I just kept replaying the startings. I just loved it. Couldn't wait for it to come out, and it coincided with like a drought, content drought in WoW as well. It's fantastic, but it was bugged to hell. And then when you finally slogged your way to level cap through all the bugs that, because there were a few bugs, for example, on quests that just would not work, and you couldn't just move on. There was no moving on. There were also really not enough quests in the game. If you didn't really do dungeons as you were leveling, you had to do a load of just randomly killing things for experience. The bugs just stopped you. I mean, I couldn't play the game for 3 days, or I made other characters, but I couldn't play it on that character until they fixed a particular bug. And then when you got to level cap, they said, right, now, level again, but in the other faction zone. Oh, and by the way, it's well harder now. What they call the veteran system, I think they called it. I can't remember. You know, veteran ranks. Absolutely dreadful. Quit the game. But when I came back, they had changed it out of all recognition, and it is now very good. And the fact that they're not sitting on their laurels and thinking, right, let's sort these systems out, I think is excellent. One frustrating thing about ASO is, oh, I missed it. You want to play it like classic Elder Scrolls. From a first person, it's not. No, it's not. It's not good to play first person. Well, I mean, you've got Elder Scrolls 6 coming out at least, so the people can, you know, who want that can play that. Even I may play it. I've never played an Elder Scrolls game before. Maybe I will get it. Although technically I have now one of them, because there was a promotion last week because it was the 25th anniversary. So I downloaded it, but I haven't played it yet. I don't know whether I will. Morrowind, I think it might have been. Can't remember. Sometimes not changing something is a good thing. Only when it's a good thing. When it's no longer a good thing, then you should change it. I mean, you know, not into change for the change's sake. This is what my argument is with Blizzard expansions, WoW expansions. They keep going on about, oh, you can get a load of new levels. That's not a good thing. You know, they change classes. They rebuild classes. Sometimes that's not a good thing. What their attitude to class design should be, when something's not working, fix it. Don't think about a next expansion. Fix it now. Right? Don't have the attitude that you're going to redesign classes every expansion. You see all these 10-minute solo quest stories as a waste of resources. They seem to like a focus for an MMO. What in? People are overly harsh on Ian. Oh my God. Some people maybe. I am. My criticism of him is he doesn't know how to run a team, and I think that's evident. Legion was a complete turnaround from WoD. Was it though? Was it? Because Legion had masses of resources, more than any expansion before or since. And they sacrificed a chunk of WoD to do it as well. So I don't take that view at all. And also, if Legion was the product of them getting things right, what the hell happened to BFA? Not that I'm making BFA out to be the disaster that many other people... I know a lot of people are making it out to be like the worst thing ever. It's not the worst thing ever. It's not that bad. It's just not up to standard, I think. You know, because I know there's quite a lot of people who aren't enjoying playing the game, so they stop playing the game, and then they say as their reason for stopping playing the game because BFA is bad. I don't say that. I've stopped playing it. I stopped enjoying it. But it's not because BFA is bad. It's because I stopped doing the content, the only content that for many years in WoW that I enjoyed. So that's ultimately what's done it. So I don't regard BFA as being bad as such. It's just not as good as it should be. And up to what I would have regarded as Blizzard standards is bad. Yes, Morrowind, okay. One of the best games ever made. See, I never played it, but I had a friend who was... in fact, it's World of Warcraft's fault that I never played it, because I had a friend who was absolutely mad on it. And this is the friend who introduced me to Warcraft, Day of the Tentacle, Baldur's Gate, you know, some of my favourite games. And so here's someone whose recommendations I took seriously. And he was absolutely raving about it. For me not to have played it, and I can't remember exactly the circumstances, for me not to have played it can only be because I was too hooked on something else. And I'm pretty sure what it was World of Warcraft. What do I think of Preacher's view that Blizzard knew the Azeroth system was a failure and they've been working on overhauling it since beta? No. I know for a fact that they didn't. That they didn't realise it was going to be such a failure. They did see the feedback and I know for a fact they disagreed with it. They genuinely disagreed with it. But, again, that's an easy thing to claim, isn't it? Blizzard knew it was bad, so they've been planning on overhauling it since beta, and then the next expansion comes out, and you have a very different system, and you go, there's the proof. But it's not, because we have a very different system in BFA to we do in Legion. We know they want to stick with the artifact system, but they also want to change it each system. And that's another thing about change for the sake of change. The artifact system in Legion wasn't... They improved it, and then that's what you should do. You improve it over expansion, and then you start off with that improved version of the next expansion, and then you can carry on improving it if necessary. What you don't do is improve a system over an expansion and then drop it entirely, come up with a whole new system, which is even worse, but it doesn't matter whether it's even worse or not. The fact is, it's got teething troubles at least, and then spend the expansion, you know, dealing with a lot of them, and then you get it in a much improved state at the end of expansion. Then the next expansion, you bin it and start with something else. But no, I know for a fact the developers did not think... They did not allow it to be released thinking it was a failure. They genuinely thought that the people who were criticising it were just, you know, special snowflakes and not going to be representative of the player base at large. Again. Vanilla, some classes were downright broken. What's this in response to? They were all broken. Every single one of them. You don't understand why they keep changing class talents all the time. No, well, I don't understand why they ever change something that's working. Right? For me, class design, make it work and then leave it the hell alone. At some point, something in the game will change and then that class will no longer be suitable for it and then you'll have to redesign it then. Do that. Don't change it for the hell of it. And it annoys me as well when Blizzard keeps saying, oh yeah, we're hardly going to do any, we're just going to do little tweaks to the classes this time round. And then, you know, the next expansion, it's a big overhaul. No, every expansion is a big overhaul. Some are just bigger than others. They massively change the way classes work every expansion. You know, the least change there has ever been that I can remember is going from Mists of Pandaria to Walls of Draenor. There were the least changes then. What was this? Do I think if 8.2 lives up to the hype and intrigues you, will that cause me to log in and play more? It'll cause me to log in and play more, definitely. But it will still be limited because it's fairly obvious that as a solo player, I'm not interested in islands. I'm not interested in pugging. I'm not interested in world quests. So once I've done the story, what else is there? And also bear in mind, I'm already in a position right now where I enjoy questing in Elder Scrolls Online. I haven't even come close to doing all the stories in Star Wars: The Old Republic. And occasionally I get a hankering to play Lord of the Rings online as well. Will the UK still have access to servers and stuff in the UK? Yes. Yes. We will. Anything that's a private arrangement, we will still have. Mop toward the least changes. Isn't that when the prune happened? Yeah, I didn't say there were no changes. I said the least changes. It did have the least changes. In terms of rep paladins, anyway, I'm only speaking from the point of view of the class that I played. But for rep paladins, that was the least change in playstyle. Some of the stuff that was pruned out wasn't generally used anyway. I still missed it. It was still utility that I did not enjoy losing, but there you go. Vanilla also had 12 patches at the first game, so it was a different case. Yeah, when I talk about expansions, I mean expansions. For me personally anyway, I don't lump vanilla into that because that was a totally different thing. Just like I can't expect an expansion to have the sheer number of zones and exploration opportunities that vanilla had. Why can't culturans be warlocks and paladins? Well, with warlocks, it may just be because they don't like that sort of behaviour. And with paladins, I suspect it's just literally because there's no need, because you can have human paladins. Yes, I know the culturans look very different. And it may be that they can in the future. But I really just think it was a case of Alliance have a lot of paladin race choices. Even though 2 of them on close inspection are the same. But even then, they've got several choices. Horde had no choice at all. You played a blood elf or you sacrificed any sort of dignity. And paladins are supposed to be dignified. So I think that's Zandalari troll paladins had to be done. Why do I think Blizzard has the mentality of always needed to mess with class every expansion? I think it's just a cycle they've got in with the class design team. I think it's because what happens is expansion comes out. Now a lot of the developers then go to work on the next expansion, but the class designers stay there. They don't work on the next expansion. So they're working on the current expansion because they're going to be, you know, tuning and changing things as necessary, trying not to do anything too major. And then it moves on, and it moves on. And then they get to the last patch. The last raid comes out. There's a few more weeks of tuning. And then they've done. And then they turn their attention to the new expansion. And so you've got this team of a dozen developers who now need to justify their paycheck by doing a big redesign of the classes. And the other thing, the other reason for it is, to be honest, the community expect it. The first question I always get asked whenever I'm, you know, in a beta or alpha or whatever for the first time is, oh, what's this class like? Or what changes to this class? It's just the question that comes out. So we get it from, you know, I think that's what causes it. I just don't think it's productive. I think they need to break the cycle. Ian seems to suggest we would have to do some kind of unlock quest to get Zandalari Paladins. It's the impression you got. Must have abandoned the idea. Well, I think they abandoned the idea when they abandoned the notion of Zandalari trolls at the start of the expansion. Zandalari trolls were supposed to come out at the start of the expansion. Now, that was at the point at Remember where they couldn't just allow you to be a Zandalari troll paladin because the story wasn't ready for it, as they said. That was their excuse for bringing Zandalari trolls and culturans out as late as they did. However, what I would say is this. I saw on Twitter, I responded to this, someone was saying something, I can't remember whether this was a Zandalari or for culturans, because they can both be druids, can't they? There's something about the Moonkin form of one of them where the animations are not done yet, like they can't dance or something like that. And I'm thinking to myself, to Blizzard, like, hang on a minute. If these were supposed to be allied races that were going to be available at the start of the expansion, how can they still not be ready? Are we 6 months in? I don't get that. So I think that was probably where it was going to be with the storyline to unlock it. because they were planning on it being at the start of the expansion. That is my suspicion anyway. I don't know that. BT breaks its way, team can fix it. Okay. Folk want decent builds, no doubt, but people actually want to choose Ice Blast or Fireball, Charge or Slam, Headbutt or Parry. Variety breeds choice. Not if there's one correct answer, though, to your choice. You know, if it's the case of you've got this choice of talents or whatever, and it's like, right, what would you like to choose for your character then? You know, it's like the internet looking over you like your uncle. Which one would you like to choose? And you go, oh, this one. You know, then it's very different, isn't it? Because that was the thing that Blizzard argued about the old talent system. They said that it was all just cookie cutter and then there's no choice at all and you're just deluding yourself. Except it wasn't true for Paladins, because Paladins had so many, you know, you didn't actually need, they had so few, for Ret Paladins anyway, so few talents that actually improved anything that you had to waste a load on a load of crap anyway. Particularly at the start of Wrath of the Lich King, it was dreadful. You could get all the useful damage talents by level 60. So that meant you still had another 20 talent points to waste in the protection tree on something futile. It is the dazar'alor druid there, thank you. I thought it might be. As a basic logic, changing things in an upcoming expansion because people look forward to new things. They don't want to add more spells, so they have to change them instead. Yeah, but they don't have to. I mean, I think they've got themselves into a trap now, a bit like flying. But they didn't have to keep changing classes. They didn't have to keep adding levels. What they had to add was content. An expansion needs content. Hi, Brett. Can't decide if you want to level as Android Paladin or Dino Druid. Yeah, it's the Druid travel form that put me off, because I get travel sick on riding raptors in WoW. They're bouncing up and down, so I couldn't really do a dazar'alor Druid, even though it would appeal. But you know, it's the only use for a Tauren actually. Actually, if I did make a dazar'alor troll Druid, then I would be really just completely putting the Tauren out of a job. Because there is no other class where they justify themselves. And even then, they don't really justify themselves. It's just that you can disguise the fact that they are a Tauren by being in a Druid. As long as you don't want to heal. Getting Lightforge Undeads at some point. Yeah, don't be falling for the April Fool's ones. Let's have a look at some of them. They spent far too long. Do you know what? Far too long thinking of these things, even given that they may well be considering them all year through. You know, look at this. See, this one I would quite like. Shell game can now be attempted on Mythic difficulty, featuring a 64 by 64 grid. I would enjoy that. I would play the game if they did that. Don't put that in as an April Fool's. That's actually serious. Do it. What else is there? Blood Elves now have short-eared cosmetic options. Again, I would totally go for that. They should stop putting good suggestions in the April Fool's thing. The one saying Overwatch is coming to the Switch. Raptor travel form can be glyphed into Doe or Cheetah. Yes, it can, but then it doesn't really suit a dazar'alor troll, does it? The Raptor suits them. I just get sick on it. Or in it. However you'd look at it. At this point, you're happy as long as your class spec feels fun to play after suffering through Wood Arms. Well, that's all anyone wants, other than the fact they also want it to be effective in certain types of content. So it also has to be effective. It doesn't have to be for me anymore, which is why, well, yeah, I don't, you know, once I was no longer raiding, I didn't really need, and also no longer doing Mythic Plus dungeons, didn't really need to worry too much about the class. Can say with relative certainty they have the next 5 or 6 allied races mapped out. There may not be 5 or 6 allied races. It is a good cash grab, I'll grant you. But there are other ways to do a cash grab. And it may well be that they decide that is better. I mean, I know that Ian has put water on the idea that there will be loads of... Because he was saying once you get to the point where you've got more allied races than real races, it gets a bit silly. Now, of course, they could easily change their mind on that when they see the dollar signs. But as I say, there are other ways to generate that quick income. But we shall see. Time will tell. What I will absolutely guarantee, however, absolutely guarantee, is that the one thing that will never be an allied race is Vulpera. You like the option of choice, but you do agree that everyone gravitates towards cookie cut builds. It's what people want. Because the irony is now in the game, there isn't really cookie cut builds. I'm not saying it's just choice on preference. Sometimes it is. But sometimes, like, if you look at someone who gets rank 1 on a particular fight, and you look at the talents they take, whereas if you take those same talents, you might not do as well as with other talents, because it's also dependent on the gear you get and the role you play. So, although I wouldn't say there are cookie cutter builds now, at least not, as I say, for the only one I have any idea about anymore, Rhett, what I would say is it's still not really a choice. Sometimes two are close enough that it is a genuine choice. But a lot of the time it's just, there is a best one, but what's best for you on the same fight may not be the best for someone playing exactly the same thing on the same fight. Because as I say, your relative balance of stats affects it. How you do that fight affects it. You know. What else you've got in your raid affects it. You rather hope they'd put the wild hammers as cosmetic for standard dwarfs. It is... Yeah, well, I mean, what I would have preferred, of course, is for there not to be allied races at all, but just to be sub-races, like they're just sub-choices of what you've got. But, you know, they didn't. They wanted to make money. Pretty sure April Fool's Day is just a way they can ruin ideas past the community and play it off if they get feedback, maybe. What was it now? Oh, do you know, I've completely forgotten. What was that April Fool's that they actually ended up doing? Someone pointed out something they did in BFA, and someone spotted that it actually was an April. Was it actually the removing of the personal loot, or the master loot or something? There was something they did in BFA, and when someone scanned back, it was actually one of the April Fools from years ago, like Wrath Time or something. It was master loot. I thought it was master loot. Yeah, yeah. So who knows? Who knows? Maybe they will do a shell game on a 64 by 64 grid. And then maybe they will win me back. Not that they really have to win me back, because I'm still paying for my subscriptions. Still paying for 2 subscriptions a month just in case I want to go online. Do I think that with the recent turnabout on hide and everything, but your pants becoming an auction, that perhaps Blizzard is beginning to get the picture on more cosmetics across the board? Maybe, but they're moving at a glacial pace. Do you know what? I was so annoyed when he said that, because when that live Q&A, when he said, "Oh, we're loosening the strings on transmog," stuff like that, I thought, thank goodness, at last. And then he just announced, you can hide your chest to show off your tattoos. Yeah, that's not quite what I was getting at, Blizzard, but thank you very much. Thanks for that. I mean, the best part about that, I suppose, would be orcs that have got the tusks of Manaroth. You know, they can try and make themselves look a bit more like Garrosh, can't they? Sounds like an April Fool's having Pokemon pet battles, yeah. Oh, GCD on abilities. Was that one as well? I mean, Diablo Immortals was April Fool, was it? No. Was it? I don't know. I wouldn't pay attention to Diablo ones. The tusks don't exist. I've seen them drop. At the time, I haven't been back to do it myself. I don't want to look like a scruffy orc. But And if I make an orc character, I want it to look smart. But if you want to look like a savage, I did actually, when, you know, at the time, see them drop. We gave them to one of our warriors. They were actually decent shoulders as well. Pandaren were April Fool's joke too. Well, they were in the game. They were in Warcraft 3. So they put them in before WoW at least. Oh, they made April Fool's with mobile game at some point. Okay. Well, I mean, that one's not quite as specific. They said they would be launching a WoW for the mobile, and they've done the Immortal release. Well, that's not quite WoW. Orc Warrior in the Mythic... Well, the Mythic Blackrock Foundry set is one that I have used on my Death Knight. And it would work even better on an Orc Death Knight. Oh, where are we going? In fact, the only two decent sets that came out of that WOD thing, but very good ones. So there's the Blackrock Foundry one, for which I had to make sure that on my Paladin, once we were farming Blackhand, I managed to get one of the one-handed swords, because that goes really well, dual wielding that on Death Knight. That goes really well with that set. And then, of course, you had the mace anyway, because it's a two-handed mace. Oh yeah, Dark Iron works. But I have another set for Dark Iron Dwarfs that I worked out during the alpha that I would like to use. If I actually made a Dark Iron Dwarf. The problem is, to make a Dark Iron Dwarf, which I'd be totally fine with, I'd have to first of all level up an Alliance character, do all of their stuff for the Alliance as well, playing more of the game when I've already played it through a few times on beta, and then level up Dark Iron Dwarf or race change. But I don't really find. Yeah, maybe I'd level it up. Who knows? Maybe I will do that. I don't know. Maybe I should get my warrior. Maybe I'll play some of my warrior in WoW. Except I want to play ESO more. So, Mythic Blackrock Foundry. Oh, what I'm thinking of when I think of Blackrock Foundry set, I'm particularly thinking of the set from the Garrison building, the name of which I forget, like the bunker thing, where you could get different sets. And the only one that looked any good was that one, and then there was a Stormwind Guard one that at last people were wanting the Stormwind Guard. And they kept trying to make it out of like Imperial plate, but you couldn't quite get the shoulders right. And then they eventually gave it to us. We're all very happy. And the best thing about the Stormwind Guard set is that I can put it on my Rogue. So it's another example of how Blizzard, you know, ignore their own reasons why they can't loosen the strings on Transmog. Because my Rogue is in plate. And they allow it. You're still missing the mailbox. Sorry. There's nothing to talk about. Because I don't do enough content on it now. I am doing like, you know, loads on the other channel. Because the bottom line is, you know, even when I was doing more regular content, and that was always going to be more of a struggle when I wasn't playing the game so much. I know people do play casually and do it. But I was obviously losing interest in doing the casual stuff as well. But even when it was going all right, typical video, 2,000 views. On the other channel, typical video getting between 10 and 20,000 views. So, hang on, I missed the first bit of the Brett's thing there. I don't know what that superior faction thing is about. Sorry, I missed that one. The gate of the stuff, flying allied races, that would probably get me back in the first place in order to become further invested down the line. Now, for me, They've said it themselves. If they do a 64 by 64 grid, I will play WoW more. I'd love that. Regarding about the Stormwind armor thing. Oh, right, I see. You tried to quit the game last week when your sub ran out. Yesterday started again. You can't quit. Well, there you go. You are. Well, you're obviously enjoying it then. That's fine. Comparing views to a politics channel in the UK is a bit unfair. Well, comparing it to any time is a bit unfair. Obviously, you know, this was the issue as well. That the channel was never going to be like big because it's on a niche subject, and then what I used to do was niche of niche. So, and then I also refused to do the things like there's accepted wisdom when it comes to trying to grow a YouTube channel, and I refused to do it. Whereas when it's a politics channel, I feel I can do more of the things that you should do without sacrificing my integrity, and it's not a niche subject. There's way more people interested in politics than are interested in World of Warcraft, which is sad but true. What do I mean by 64 by 64? Have you only just come in? Have you missed it? The list of April Fools that Blizzard did. They said shell game can now be attempted on Mythic difficulty featuring a 64 by 64 grid. To which I said that I would approve of that. Absolutely approve of it. Would I play more if we had access to long coats on other race outside? I would be more inclined to if we could have, yes, if we could have the Kulturan. Do you know what? Whenever I was playing through the alpha and the beta and I started to see these Kulturan costumes, I just felt sad. I just looked at them and thought, there's no way they're going to let my paladin wear that. You know, in fact, if they just totally loosed the purse strings on transmog, I could go back to my Stormwind pimp outfit from vanilla. See, what I used to do before transmog was a thing, I used to dress up before transmog was a thing, because when I was, you know, there's times when you're just going to be kicking around Stormwind. You know you're not going to be doing anything for a bit. So what I used to do is I made once I had my Soulforge set, you know, it's nice purple set, and I had the purple hat, and I used to just sit around Stormwind in that. I thought it looked amazing. So I used to just do dress up. And I always used to have a cloth hat, a big cloth hat, purple hat, or sometimes that hat you could get from one of the quests in TBC that you got by getting someone some beer from Netherguard Keep. I think it's the links to my other channels. They're on the main. They're on this main channel. In fact, I actually made a mistake. One of my students, who they can find this channel quite easily because this channel used to be named after me, and it's still sort of in there. So they can find my channel quite easily, but. Hang on a minute. I'm just going to click on so that I can orientate myself. And he asked me what the name of my other channel was, and I said, I'm not telling you. And then he found it. And the way he found it was because you go onto the main page and it's got featured channels, and it features... Oh, I need to take one off, actually. And it features the channel there. I'm not using the other one now. I've just brought it all back here. Did I have Don Rigoberto's in vanilla? No, I didn't.